Okay. All right. Welcome to Evolve. I want to hear some celebrations. We're going to start with you, Autumn. Since you're here and Eric's he has to be quiet. Share it. Let's hear some celebrations other than your vinyasa yoga flow. That was so nice to hear.
To like a warm yoga class this morning at 8 that I really didn't want to go to, but I'm glad I went, and it was really good. And last night I finally used my juicer and I made beet juice with ginger and lemon and apple and carrot. And then I made a bunch of red curry lentils and basmati rice and the alkalizing detox soup. And my fridge is full.
Wow. That's a serious celebration. That's seriously amazing.
Cooked all my veggies that I was feeling guilty about.
Yes. Wow. That's so great. Good for you. How did you like the alkaline detoxing soup? It's definitely healthy, huh?
I love that soup. That's the one recipe that I've made probably like 5 times because it's super easy. It's delicious. Like it's really good, I feel like, for dinner because it's not too filling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a healthy one.
I have got to say, like, even though I've been like off and on this whole pattern and everything, I have been like in the best shape I've ever been in, and I like get compliments all the time now. And like I was out at the mall with my son, and like 2 ladies asked me if I exercise or anything, and my son just started laughing. It's like, no, she does not exercise. And but it is totally like all the diet. It's not even anything. It's like lemon ginger water and like root vegetables and like all of this stuff. I swear I've never been in better shape.
Wow. Sorry, I got to write this down. Sorry. Never been in better shape.
Seriously. I'm like the hottest I've ever been, I think. I have more energy and it's been really awesome.
Wow. I'm like so glad to hear that. Based on, you've only been able to participate halfway, I feel like. And that's like, just imagine if you were here the whole time. Whoa.
I know. Like even with the inconsistencies and like the guilty, like random meals that I'm like, I could eat all of this, but instead I'm gonna like order, I don't even know, like a bowl of pho or something, which isn't terrible, but yeah, I still like, even with all the inconsistencies, I'm like just radiant. So it's been good.
Amazing. Wow. So good to hear that. Awesome. Eric, he can probably share his wins on the chat box. So today's going to be a lot of information. You'll probably want to take some notes, and I love those wins. That's amazing. I love to hear that. Yeah, seriously warms my heart that you're feeling like that and looking like that, getting compliments and whatnot. That's awesome. So good to hear. So today we're going to go through a lot of spices. Like I'm going to be breaking down today all like pretty much spices from A to S. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you all how do I say this? The viewpoint of modern Ayurveda. So we've talked about mushrooms, we've talked about probiotics, we've talked about all the prebiotics, we've talked about dairy and all of those things, and the viewpoint on a modern Ayurvedic lens. And I want to bring all of that to light because Ayurveda is 5,000 years old, and some of the things that they believed in or were in the Vedic texts don't make sense in today's day and age. So we need to understand that because some things in Ayurveda might not feel in alignment with you or work for your body type. And that's because they were 5,000 years ago, they were doing that. And now it's it's just different. We've evolved, environments changed, our bodies and minds have changed. So we don't take to eating basmati rice 3 times a day or drinking dairy all the time, which is something in Ayurveda that they did back in the day in the old Vedic texts and during that time in life. So, you know, obviously I'm going to share more about it. So I'm not going to get into too much because I'm going to be talking about it in detail, but that's what we're going to get into today is spices, which I think will help because everybody just went through their spice cabinet and designed it and made it minimalist and beautiful, which is amazing. And then we're going to just get into a little bit about the healing energies and the properties of spices and the dosha that they correspond with. So you can know, you know, when you open up your pantry, what spice is good for what dosha. And I'm going to share more health benefits of each spice in general. So if there's a specific spice that I don't go over today, I'd love if you could bring that to light and share that with me so I can put that in the curriculum. I've got a lot in here and I feel like I probably didn't skimp on too many, but if there's one specifically that you use a lot that I don't talk about today, I would love if you could share that and I can add that into this presentation. So let's see if make sure nobody's popping on here. Did you get a chance, Autumn and Eric, I know you're listening and everybody, did you get a chance to look at Trello and kind of go through some of the assignments other than the spice cabinet or the 6 tastes and whatnot? Were you, okay, cool. I just want to make sure everybody's like knows how to use that platform. Okay, cool. Yay. All right. So depending on how we flow through this, we could end a little bit early. If I don't finish, then I'll just have you guys look over it after, depending on where the conversation goes. It's a lot of spices. So I want to be able to like have conversation around it. And I don't want to just be like talking to you. You know what I mean? So I want it to be like an actual workshop session class. How I saw your spice cabinet. How's it feeling for you? Did you add any new ones? Is there like, how large is it?
I got 24 of those little jars and I used them all.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm probably just gonna need more room and I'm gonna need to get more. But
Yeah.
because I still have like because I used to have like because I get the spices in the bags, you know, like we have like local ones or whatever and plastic bags. And so I used to keep them in that like in a clear container and I would just flip through them. But I used them all, but I still have like quite a few that are in there. And then I put like the ones that I use more frequently in the front and like organize like the like Italian ones are like in a back corner and but like so far I'm really happy with it. I mean, I just cooked last night and everything was like so easy to grab and I don't know, it was cool. I want to now I'm like even more inspired because I want to get like the big jars and put like all my different like lentils and rices in them and like that thing of nutritional yeast or like just make it even more.
Yes. So. Yes. I do that.
Yeah.
I have all my lentils and mung beans and chickpeas and everything all displayed in the bigger mason jars. Eric says, I'm still in the process of organizing my personal spices. I need to round out the key 6. Not sure what that means. Oh, the key 6. Yeah, the six spices. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, it looks so nice too. Like if it's open and you can see it and it doesn't have all the labels on it, it just looks so much nicer in the kitchen. It's so much more organic and so much more like appeasing to the eye. Great. Wins to celebrate, returning to work and your first Reiki appointment on Monday. Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing, Eric. All right. Okay. Like, should we do a meditation? I want to make sure we get through it today. I feel like I want to skip over it and we can meditate at the end if that's possible. How about that? Just because I want to make sure that I can get through this today. So I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision that we're going to just get right into the content. I do want to be able to, let's see here. I want to be able to let Jenna in when she comes in. I'll figure it out. Okay, here we go. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. Here we go. Perfect. Yay. All right. So Ayurvedic spices and modern Ayurveda. So what I did to make this a little bit more digestible today is that I broke everything up into modern Ayurveda. I did like a modern Ayurveda and then the churnas, which I think you guys will love, is the churnas. We're going to be doing that for homework this week, is making our own spice blend per the dosha. So you can make a vata blend. You're going to make a kapha spice blend. You're going to make a pitta spice blend. And then depending on what dosha is elevated, you could just have that ready and you can toss it in your saute. You don't have to, you pick up every single spice jar. You're going to have this dedicated dosha blend. And I used to sell these. I used to work for a spice company and sell these. And then I decided to make my own and sell them at my cooking classes. And so they're really fun. They're really tasty. And I have some recipes for you guys to make your own spice blend. That it's just straight medicine for your dosha. So I think it's a really good assignment. So let's talk about our first spice. We're going to start in the A's. This one is Ajwain, which is also known as celery seed. That's what it looks like. Has anybody ever cooked with celery seed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So
for coleslaw.
Coleslaw. Okay. Coleslaw. Yes. They have celery seed in coleslaw. So the vitality, prana, and lightness of Ajwain is intrinsic to its taste. Its aromatic oils disperse blood and dilate blood vessels, while its pungent spiciness stimulates the heart for an altogether refreshing effect on the circulation. So this one's going to be really good for Vata dosha, because Vata dosha has low circulation. For those of you who have, cold fingers and toes and cold extremities, celery seed, or also known as Ajwain, is going to be really great for that. Ajwain also rivals asafoetida. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this. I think, Autumn, I shared that with you at the center. Asafoetida is great for gas and bloating. So this is going to rival that. It warms up cold digestion and relaxes intestinal cramping due to colic, and used with foods that take a long time to digest. So you can see here at the bottom, it says VK negative, P positive. That means Vata Kapha negative. It's going to pacify. Pacify means to balance the dosha, and it's going to increase Pitta dosha. So it's going to aggravate hot Pitta constitutions. Overuse of this in the summer is going to cause sweat, aggravating dryness in the Vata. So it's like, try not to get too complicated in all of this. Ajwain is native to the Middle East and is still common as Egypt as well as Indian cooking. Like turmeric, Ajwain is a spice used to enhance the digestibility rather than the flavor. So it's really good for digestion. Ajwain is in the carrot family along with parsley, celery, cumin, and caraway. Kind of reminds me of caraway. It kind of looks like caraway. The egg-shaped seeds resemble other carrot family members in look and taste. And a small amount of raw Ajwain will dominate the flavor of a dish. Fried in ghee or in other oils, Ajwain takes on more subtle, complex flavor. Ajwain is commonly added to deep fried foods such as rice, chickpeas, and digestive lassis. So celery seed, write this one down if you don't have this one in the pantry. This one's a good one to have if you're making coleslaw.
That's why
I
I
don't
have a
have
whole
the,
bunch of it.
yeah, I don't
Because
have
that's
the
the only thing
recipe
I
for it. But, okay. So anise, just want to double check that Jenna isn't trying to log on. Anise. So there's not as much information on this one. This one's very different. It's a warming aromatic herb that moves blood, reducing cold stagnation in Chinese medicine. So this one is not so much Ayurvedic. It's more TCM, Chinese medicine, which is acupuncture. About star anise. Star anise is a small evergreen tree native to China that closely resembles anise in flavor. So it's an evergreen tree is what it comes from. And I think they're so pretty to cook with. Like you want to put one on a dessert or just like maybe braise something with it. Squashes, or if you do meat, you could braise, you know, a turkey with it or something. So vata, kapha, pacifying. It's going to be pitta, aggravating. So if you don't have anise, I think what I have actually, I have ground anise. I find that I don't use it very often. So I wouldn't want to buy like a bulk of this herb. Basil. Basil, this is a spring herb. If you watched the workshop last week, spring basil is one of the herbs to start using. So start making pesto, you guys. This is great for spring. Basil is so powerful too. It reduces congestion and helps you breathe freely. Whether dealing with chronic lung conditions or acute cold symptoms, basil can help cut through mucus and relieve congestion. It contains cinnamic acid, which helps you breathe freely by enhancing circulation, breaking up and removing phlegm from your bronchial tubes. It's an immune booster too. So basil is a good antibacterial herb and anti-inflammatory properties, and a walloping punch of vitamin C. So I always have a basil plant going. Tulsi is the Ayurvedic holy basil, which is something that different households will have in India and keep it for good luck outside their door. You can make a nice cup of basil tea when you feel a cold coming on. Alternatively, make some lemongrass soup heavily garnished with basil and get that like Thai flavor, right? I love cooking with lemongrass. It's like get a stalk of lemongrass and add it to your soups. By flushing the surface of your skin, sinuses, and lungs with blood that is rich from immune fighting cells, basil can help you sweat out the bug. Like most members of the mint family, basil induces profuse sweating because of its aromatic qualities. In this case, basil is also pungent and warming. So when you hear pungent and warming, that kind of helps you remember our last session when we're talking about the rasas or the six tastes. Pungent is spicy and warming, so it's going to increase the pitta dosha. You can see here on the bottom, VK negative, P positive. It's going to increase pitta dosha, decrease vata kapha. Since the oils in basil are highly volatile, it is best to add the herb at the end of cooking as to a garnish. Basil loses its flavor quickly when exposed to heat. And that's like, if you've ever cooked with basil, I want my basil to be fresh most of the time. I don't want like old wilted basil. Dried basil is great, but it doesn't even really give you that much of a punch like fresh basil does. So remember that when you're cooking with basil, to try to definitely add it at the end, or add it fresh after you're done cooking as a fresh like. But basil is just so beautiful and makes me happy when I smell it. Black pepper. So black pepper, and sorry if you can't see everything on here. Black pepper is definitely going to be heating, obviously. It has a pungent quality that stimulates the heart. So spicy, pungent means spicy. Black pepper improves circulation via vasodilation. It destroys mucus in the digestive tract and sinuses, black pepper is a carminative, which means it expels gas for cold vata digestion. So another one that's good for gas and bloat. It is one of the 3 main ingredients for the popular Ayurvedic formula called Trikatu. A Trikatu is a formula for kapha to help speed up metabolism. About black pepper. Pepper, this is interesting. Pepper is derived from the South Asian word pipali. Pipali long pepper is a famous herb in Ayurveda for heart and heart conditions. The word pepper actually comes from pep, like pep, to pep up. That's what it comes from. So the word pepper gradually came to include the unrelated New World peppers, bell peppers, chilies. The word pep is derived from the energizing, spirited qualities of black pepper. Black pepper is native to Southeast Asia, and black pepper was a highly prized commodity in the West and referred to as black gold. So during the spice trade and all that, pepper was highly desired. White pepper is black pepper with the outer skin removed. If you've ever cooked with white pepper, that is an option when you go to the store. If you're at somewhat of a, high-end store, they might have white pepper. Green pepper is black pepper before the drying process, and it's used in Thai cuisine. I like to buy the whole black peppercorns and then grind them. I feel like that's the best, most nutrient dense form. It's going to have the most maximum freshness. And the medicinal effect of spices, of the spiciness, usually comes from essential oils, which evaporate quickly after grinding. So I'm always going to harp on desiccated spices. Like the more powdered stuff you buy, the less nutrient dense it's going to be, the less fresh, the less healthy, basically. So if you have the time and you have a grinder, always buy whole peppercorns. It's just going to be better than buying grinded pepper in a tin. So yeah, it's gonna taste better. So for this one, what doshas do you feel like it would pacify?
Vata and kapha.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely vata and kapha. It's going to aggravate pitta. This one's really good for increasing metabolism for kapha dosha. If somebody's really stagnant and has they're just lazy and they feel heavy and they feel like weight gain, this can be really good to take a shot, like a shot of black pepper in warm water and a little bit of honey and a squirt of lemon, and just kind of take this metabolizing pepper shot that can really help with people who really just need their metabolism lit up. That would not be good for the pitta dosha. Somebody who already has that. Caraway. I don't cook that often with caraway seeds. They're very, they have a very unique flavor profile. They're very German. I don't know if you've ever made cabbage and caraway seeds. It's a baked cabbage and caraway seeds. It's actually really good. But caraway is unique as a spicy aromatic that is more bitter than most. Its aromatic qualities make it an antispasmodic and digestive. Hildegard von Bingen wrote about the herb's use as a lung tonic. Its analgesic qualities have also been used for toothaches. I spelled lung wrong. Sorry about that. In the Middle Ages, caraway seeds were served with a bit of sugar as a digestive after a big meal, much the way sugar-coated fennel is eaten after a meal in India. So this is kind of like the European Middle Ages spice. It's going to pacify vata kapha and aggravate pitta dosha. So caraway seeds, it's one of those spices where I would say that I wouldn't unless you cook with it a lot, it's I wouldn't say you have to have this on hand, because you might just end up throwing it away after a one-time use, but it's definitely It's definitely nice to have it when you do. I would recommend like trying to make more stuff, find more recipes with it so you don't waste it all. Cardamom is one of my favorites. Wow, I love cardamom so much. Do you like cardamom?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful spice. Wow, it smells so amazing. Cardamom, yeah,
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
haven't really cooked with it much though.
Do you like chai?
Yeah, like I like the flavor and I know it. I just haven't like seen many recipes or like done much with it before.
Hmm. Well, you're gonna see more recipes with desserts, with desserts with this. And then sometimes they'll make like a sweet basmati rice, with like full cardamom pods or cashew, like kind of like an Indian cardamom cashew rice that's kind of got like a sweetness to it. Um, but it's not really the most used in a lot of savory stuff. So it acts as a carrier herb, assisting in digestion and assimilation of heavier herbs used in tonic formulas. So when I say that, I mean herbs like shatavari, ashwagandha, vidari, and bala are all made more accessible with cardamom's digestive assistance. So it's a carrier herb. It's going to help other medicines assimilate into your system, which is so beautiful. So that's why I like chai so much, because it's got cardamom in it. The love for cardamom resonates through history. For instance, ancient Egyptians chewed cardamom to whiten their teeth and sweeten their breath. Cardamom helps take the edge off caffeine in the famous Turkish coffee. Sometimes you can put, if you are a heavy coffee drinker, which Autumn, I know you're not, and Eric, I think you're off coffee. But if you have a client or you have a friend who has a coffee problem, you can at least recommend them to put a few cardamom pods in their coffee. And that's gonna reduce the acidity in the coffee, and it's gonna make it not as shocking to the system. And it also tastes really nice. So cardamom is a member of the ginger plant family along with turmeric. So it's a really good digestive carrier. This spice can be purchased as a grayish powder in the form of a whole light green pod or as a tiny uncrushed seed within the pod. And you're going to see a really big diversity in prices with that. The desiccated spice versus the whole spice versus the little shells taken off of the cardamom, and you have the little black pod. They're all going to be, cardamom's expensive. So you're going to see it's going to be more expensive to buy the powder, obviously. The essential oils, the fresh taste, and the medicinal value evaporate quickly after it's ground. For this reason, we recommend the uncrushed seed. If you buy whole pods, peel the outer layer of skin from the pod, then grind in the coffee grinder or crush with a mortar and pestle. So it's just ways to kind of get the most pure, nutrient dense version of cardamom. Cardamom is also very heating in nature. You can tell when you drink chai, it's heating. It's going to pacify vata kapha and aggravate pitta. Excuse me. Cinnamon. I love cinnamon so much. I've been putting cinnamon on my baked squashes, and people are like, "What are you doing to this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's cinnamon. You would never guess that I'm putting cinnamon on my root vegetables." Cinnamon is going to pacify vata kapha and again aggravate pitta. So right now we're going through a lot of heating spices. You can still use these spices if you're a pitta. You just need to make sure you're not drinking like a cinnamon smoothie. So, like where it's just like a ton of cinnamon, you can still have these. Just be mindful of how much you're having. Cinnamon's combination of sweetness and spiciness gives it great versatility in cooking. Along with nutmeg, ginger, cardamom, and cloves, cinnamon is one of the 5 classic sweet spices. So that's going to be your 5 classic sweet spices right there is nutmeg, ginger, cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon, the 5 classic sweet spices. It enhances many desserts like apple pie, cinnamon buns, and candies, and may be combined and ground into a cinnamon sugar mix, which would be really good with coconut sugar, and crushed almonds as an option. So if you're interested in making something to put on cinnamon buns or something, or cinnamon is featured in autumn treats, so it is more of like a fall time spice like pumpkin pie and apple cider. Try cinnamon on peaches for a tasty and healthy dessert option. I really like putting cinnamon on raw apples or just anything. Really, I really love cinnamon. They put cinnamon in meat dishes in the Middle East. In desserts, it's often mixed with rose water. And this is because this is all stemming from the Middle East. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of history about the spices in different countries because we use them differently. In Mexico, they drink horchata, right? It has cinnamon in it. It's paired with chocolate in Mexico. They make cinnamon chocolate desserts. It's used as a garnish on rice in India if they have like a sweet cinnamon rice dish. In savory dishes, cinnamon is delicious on squash. That's kind of what I've been doing lately, on sweet potatoes with dates and almonds. And it's foundational in savory Indian and even African curries. The famous spice mix garam masala and panch phoron include cinnamon. Cinnamon can also be used for pickling. In Morocco, cinnamon is combined with preserved lemons, which is also really nice. It also combines well with other spices, including saffron, black pepper, and paprika. So, you can go savory or sweet. Cinnamon's versatility lends itself to experimentation. It's also appealing to children who often enjoy its sweet taste. So when the chill has you feeling a need for some gentle care, you may want to reach for this spice and see what it can bring to your plate and your body. And so I'm all about cinnamon. I used to not like it, but once I started trying it on different things, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So again, it's very heating in nature. A good spice for spring right now. Anything with pungent, a little bit of heat is going to be good for spring to burn away the dampness of kapha dosha. Do you cook with cinnamon? I would hope that you do. It's kind of a traditional one. Cloves, another heating spice. Sorry, plane going by. Cloves are another one of my favorite spices. I love buying them whole, like in this photo here, and then picking little bulb off and disintegrating it into whatever I'm making. The inherent warmth grounds vata. So this one's going to be great for vata dosha. It's carminative, increasing hydrochloric acid in the stomach and peristalsis. So it's going to be also very good for the stomach and the gut. The body conserves on heat during cold winter months by bringing more blood into the core and allowing the temperature in the extremities to drop. Cloves are a strong diaphoretic and vasodilator, bringing blood and heat back to the exterior of the body for cleansing and sweating out a fever. So again, we have another heating herb. This one's going to reduce vata kapha, increase pitta dosha. So all these like heating, nice warming herbs we're talking about now. Cloves are also really good for the mouth and like dental stuff. They numb the mouth and are used topically for a toothache. In India and a lot of other countries that you won't see that much here. But despite its hot taste, inhaling while chewing a clove feels cool. If you've ever like inhaled a clove, don't like actually inhale it, but take a big whiff of it. Cloves increase the agni, that digestive fire within us, that big bonfire that I've been talking about since we've been in this course together, without aggravating pitta if used in moderation. So I always talk about that we can still use these in moderation. They stimulate the sex drive and help in premature ejaculation, and cloves are used with ginger and cardamom in cases of nausea. So a lot of good stuff. They're native to India and Indonesia. They are the aromatic dried flower bud of a tree in the same, this is so interesting, the same family as eucalyptus and guava. Cloves resemble a nail in shape. The English name clove derives from the Latin clavis, meaning nail. So go figure. Again, vata kapha pacifying and pitta aggravating. So really good for dental hygiene, like oral hygiene. Okay, so we're going to take a break in spices because I wanted to take a couple breaks and not just ramble on about spices. But let's talk about modern Ayurveda. I'm going to go through a few things that is in the traditional Ayurvedic text that they believe, and kind of the viewpoint on it now and how I feel about it and how I think a lot of other health practitioners feel about it. And you can develop your own viewpoint, your own opinion. So traditional Ayurveda is based heavily on grains. So rice is going to be the staple of every meal. You're going to have rice porridge or kheer, and then you're going to have rice with your curry for lunch. And then you're going to have rice with your chapatis and your dosas for dinner. Nowadays, we can actually base our diet more on alkaline plant-based foods and vegetables, not on grains all the time. Because we have cleaner vegetables, the food industry is still, excuse my language, it's still fucked up. And there's still GMO and, there's still chemicals and terrible things in our food, but it's better than I wouldn't say it's better. I would say that it's different than what it was before. Before you would eat vegetables and things like that right out of the garden in the dirt, and you would get extremely sick right off the bat. Now we have kind of a degrading, non-preventative, fake viewpoint, fake food system when it comes to the vegetables. But if you buy the organic, you go to the farmer's market, you're going to be getting way better food source than you could ever get in India 5,000 years ago. So they didn't really have much. That's why I'm saying it was so based on grains, because they didn't have this wide diversity like we do today. Now it's like we can go get anything we want most of the time, which is that's really nice. So here I say we can base our diet more on alkaline plant-based foods and vegetables, not just grains. The food industry has drastically changed since ancient times due to hybridization, pesticides, and fertilizers, which affect the nutrition of the food. So it's been a vicious process, I would say, with food and what we get out of the ground. But at least we're not, getting gastrointestinal stuff right off the bat after eating things, right? Whereas before that was happening. And so people were just like, oh, I'm just going to cook rice and eat it. That's all I'm going to eat. Many people experience digestive, hormonal, and autoimmune disorders caused from grains. And this is true. It causes inflammation. It causes autoimmune disorders. It causes polycystic ovarian syndrome. It causes women's reproductive issues, digestive stuff like gas and bloat. Grains can cause a lot of damage on the body. It's amazing what happens to people's bodies after they take grains out of the diet. Nowadays, we can include more fats in vegetables rather than carbs. I think that's very true nowadays in our society, in our life, that we have access to lots of vegetables. So let's add those instead of eating, big grain heavy, rice heavy, carbohydrate heavy meals. Does that make sense, Autumn? How there's this kind of, you can see this old paradigm, and now things are that's not, we've evolved and done research, and we know what's actually good and bad for us. And so there is some of that that's happened over time with Ayurveda. Awesome. So yeah, this one I think is really important because, I always harp on this in in cooking with Ayurvedic is like, it doesn't have to be Indian, and you don't have to be making rice and curry. And like, even though, yes, it's so yummy and khichdi and all that, you can really cook Ayurvedically, and you can make, you know, tacos and whatever it is that you want to make. So remember that. The next thing that I think is extremely important, traditional Ayurveda is going to rely on foods that were available in ancient India. Traditional Ayurveda relies on foods that are available in ancient India. Modern Ayurveda is going to rely on foods that are available now. Kind of harping on exactly the last slide is that we are going to rely on the foods that we have available now. So we can use modern global ingredients that satisfy Ayurvedic guidelines. Ayurveda is not a diet, but a system of health and a food philosophy. So it's, again, it's not all vegan, it's not all Indian, it's not labeled as this one thing. It is a system of health and food philosophy, and we have to navigate it in accordance to what's available to us and what makes sense. Seasonal, environmental, I could go on. So we use turmeric, cumin, ginger, and cardamom in a modern way. We can incorporate from the world's blue zones, which are the geographic regions boasting populations with the longest lifespans. So are you familiar with the blue zones? It's like the people who live the longest. There's 7 places all over in the world. I think there's 7. I'm going to share them with you in just a moment. But blue zones incorporate sweet potatoes, avocados, chia seeds, and superfoods, and etc. You're not going to see those foods, especially those 3 foods, in India 5,000 years ago. They weren't eating avocados and chia seeds. So you can see how food has evolved, right? We're evolving in this course. Food has evolved. They didn't used to sell maca in a bag, you know, maca powder, and 5,000 years ago. Like, we hadn't evolutionized. We hadn't even had a machine yet to desiccate herbs and even known the powerful qualities of that stuff. So modern Ayurveda is about taking advantage of the modernized health and food system that we have today. So I think it's important to take advantage of what we have availability to, and to also be really grateful that we have access to what we do, because I mean, it's just amazing. So these ingredients are not available in India, but they benefit our health and shouldn't be avoided. So here's the blue zones. I don't know if you can really see that. So we have Okinawa, Japan. We have, sorry, I want to move this. Loma Linda, California, and Sardinia, Italy. Those are 3 of the blue zones. Then there's another one in Costa Rica, and there's one in Greece. I can't remember the others, but there's 7, and this is what they share. And I'm sorry if this is hard to see, but I can share with you what it is. So they're all going, what do all these places share? Why are these people living so long? So in Okinawa, Japan, one of the things that they do is that they have no time urgency, which is really interesting, that they're never in a hurry, and they're never, I guess, trying to get somewhere on time like we do here in the United States. They eat turmeric. It says they eat turmeric and likability. So I guess they're really likable humans, whatever that means. Healthy social circle. They have a healthy social circle. That's going to help you live longer. So being in social environments and having friends and having a nice family circle, and not boxing yourself up in a room and hermiting your life away. That's going to help you live longer. Eating nuts. They all eat nuts. They don't drink alcohol. They have faith. They have a faith system. They eat whole grains, culturally isolated. So they have their own culture. A lot of us have lost our culture here. They eat fava beans and they drink high polyphenol wine. In Italy, they do that. They all have families. They don't smoke. They have a plant-heavy diet. They do constant, this is the one thing. They all have constant, moderate, this is huge, constant, moderate physical activity. So they're not going out and like slamming the weights and doing a crazy CrossFit workout. What they're doing is they're tending their gardens. They're moving their body all day long, being very laborious as to, taking care of their land. They have social engagements. They eat a lot of legumes like lentils and chickpeas, fava beans. It says here they have empowered women. Their women are confident. They get a lot of sunshine and they're gardeners. So these are the things that the people living the longest are doing. So I like the part about people, they hang out with a group of people. They have a nice social scene in their lives. And if you're interested in more about this, this is a whole health system. There's a book called The Blue Zones that you can read more about this, but it is really interesting. And I think that we can incorporate this kind of, way of living into our life. I really like the part about gardening and laboring, actually getting physical to get your food rather than jumping in a car to go to the grocery store where you don't, you're maybe exercising, walking around the grocery store and putting your bags in the car. And then you get home and like, it's kind of a workout to put your food in the refrigerator. But it is a really nice, rewarding and laborious activity to shovel and to plant seeds and to water every day. And to, the whole thing of gardening is definitely more of a consistent, laborious activity. Okay, raw foods. This is important. Traditional Ayurveda doesn't allow raw foods. So we're going to go back to the soil again that I wanted to touch on. The soil in India contains bacteria and parasites, which can make raw food dangerous for consumption. So it was really hot, 5,000 years ago in India. The raw foods spoil quickly in that heat, and refrigeration did not even exist 5,000 years ago. So well-cooked foods were safer to consume. So they're not doing a lot of raw foods back in India because they didn't have a place to keep it. It would just go bad and rancid. We recognize that raw foods are safe to eat and have been consumed safely for thousands of years. Pittas can consume more raw, Vatas mostly cooked with a little bit raw, and Kaphas can have a combination. So that's kind of the difference there. We incorporate raw foods because they have living enzymes and lots of prana. Your body will let you know whether it likes raw foods or not. So I think this is important because, raw foods are really nutrient dense. Lots of living enzymes, lots of prana, right? When you drink a green juice, like it feels good. You feel it like, vibrating through your body. Hopefully it feels vital. It feels refreshing. It feels cleansing. And so they just didn't have the same health paradigm that we do now. Any questions on this so far, you guys? Trying to check the chat box. Eric, no coffee for me. I want to live in a blue zone. Yeah. Yeah, they're really cool places. I'll get the list of the rest of them so you can know, but I'm pretty sure it's Costa Rica and Greece. It's like Okinawa's Greece. I forget, but I'll get in touch with it. Okay, I think we're gonna head. Oh, we have one more. Fermented foods. So traditional Ayurveda does not allow fermented foods. Again, we're going back to like the safety and sanitary practices back then. The heat in India does not allow for safe fermentation. Fermented foods are beneficial for your gut bacteria and have been consumed safely for thousands of years. So it's so hot there that it's not the right temperature for fermentation. They also have this viewpoint on leftovers and whatnot, and they want everything to be super fresh. And when you're making kimchi, you can see this photo of kimchi. I mean, that's sat out for a while, and that's not really aligned with their viewpoint of, eating things that are packed with prana the day of. Coconut yogurt, kimchi, and sauerkraut are wonderful sources of probiotics, which are especially important in cultures where bacteria-killing antibiotics are overprescribed and where our soil has been stripped from beneficial bacteria. So, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely had my fair share of antibiotics that I've taken for shit. And, eating some probiotics is not going to cure you, but it's definitely going to help the flora in the gut. And it's really powerful, as well as taking a probiotic. But probiotics and prebiotics are amazing for the health of your body. And then here I say our soil has been stripped from beneficial bacteria. So we don't have the good bacteria a lot of times in our food nowadays, which also depletes the overall health of our gut biome. Oh, I have another one, mushrooms. So many mushrooms, so traditional Ayurveda forbids mushrooms. Many mushrooms in Ayurveda are poisonous or psychedelic. So they look down upon that. I would assume that people were maybe eating mushrooms and getting really sick or having a kind of an out there experience. And they just didn't have a good viewpoint with that. They thought that the mushrooms were tamasic in nature. And I don't know if you guys remember when I've spoken about the 3 rasas in Ayurveda, they're sattvic, tamasic, and rajasic. And mushrooms are one of those ones that have this kind of like deathly, morbid viewpoint, which I don't agree with this at all. This is like something that I really had to swallow once I started learning about Ayurveda. And I was like, oh my God, but I love mushrooms so much. And all the health benefits are so incredible. So how am I, as a practitioner, like, how do I navigate this? And so this is, again, why I say, you can take Ayurveda, you take all the things that work for you. I made this funny number up that I was like, I'm 83.66% Ayurvedic. Everything else, like, everything, that's the percentage that I align with. And then there's some things that I don't. And so, it's nothing against the Vedic texts in this. It's just again, health has evolved, right? We know all this amazing information now about the health benefits of mushrooms on the gut, on immunity, on mental health, on cognitive functioning, on Alzheimer's. I mean, that's why I have a whole mushroom course, a whole mushroom adventure journey class. So all mushrooms contain a type of complex carb called beta glucans that stimulate your immune system and help suppress tumor growth. So again, it's going to help with cancer. Beta glucans are in the fruiting body, which on the picture here, this is a reishi, and that's the fruiting body. Mushrooms play both sides of the field in your immune system. On defense, mushrooms like cordyceps and turkey tail directly fight viruses and bacteria. These are called immune stimulants. Mushrooms, including reishi and shiitake, help nourish and even strengthen your immune system and parts like bone marrow or white blood cells. These mushrooms are called immune tonics. So, I mean, this is just like really scraping the surface about how powerful mushrooms are. So you're not going to see in like an Ayurvedic recipe book, you probably won't see a traditional Ayurvedic recipe book. You're not going to see stuff about mushrooms. But in the modernized Ayurvedic world, which surprisingly a lot of practitioners have, Ayurveda in modern day information out there, and you'll have more information about mushrooms. So I think you guys really like mushrooms, right? Or do you like mushrooms, Autumn? Yeah, okay. Some people really don't like the taste of them when they cook with them. They're just not into it. I feel like, if you experiment with different ones, you could potentially find one that you actually like, because there's a lot of different ones if you have access to them. Because like some of them taste like seafood, like lion's mane tastes like crab. There's all these different different flavors you can get. So I would challenge someone who doesn't like mushrooms to go out on a limb and try a bunch of different kinds, because you really can get a lot of different flavor profiles. Okay. Oh, dairy. So let's talk about dairy. Traditional Ayurveda is going to recommend a diet rich in dairy, especially ghee, which is clarified butter, which we've talked about, and paneer, which is cottage cheese that is cubed, which I love. It's so good. Now, you'll also see other things like lassi. It's a yogurt drink, if you've ever heard of that. It's an Indian mango yogurt drink with like cumin. It's really, really good. Yogurt, milk, ghee, paneer. You'll see these things often in Indian cuisine. But dairy-free, I believe, is really the way to be. The dairy industry today is very different from ancient India. Cows were sacred, and all dairy was raw and organic back then. Now all of our dairy is pumped with hormones and chemicals and all these terrible antibiotics, which are transferred to their milk. No wonder that we're all lactose intolerant, because they're pumping all the dairy up with all these terrible things. So all dairy is pasteurized, making it void of the enzymes that make it digestible. So we have pasteurized dairy. Most people are unknowingly lactose intolerant. Whether you feel digestive issues or not, dairy causes mucus buildup, which facilitates ama. In Ayurveda, we call it ama, which is toxicity, which then turns into disease or illness or tons of different things we could talk about. Now, ghee, you can replace ghee with plant-based oils and replace paneer with nut-based cheeses if you want. I still use ghee in minimal amounts, because I think it really adds a lot of flavor. And I do think it's really powerful for grounding the vata dosha. So yeah, ghee is going to be up to you how far, how you want to go with it. Sometimes I get a little weirded out by like the vegan butters. I'm like, is this even good for you? They're like made with soy and potato starch and like weird stuff that seems to be a little more even weird, even though it's vegan. So it's better to use plant-based oils, or just to use minimal amounts of ghee. You don't have to eat ghee for 3 meals a day, because it is definitely heavy. It's definitely going to like weigh on you. And Mandy's going to be listening to this. Now she owns goats at her farm in Washington. And I do think that goat dairy is one of the healthiest dairy products you can eat, especially if you're farming it yourself. I do well with goat cheese. That's one of the only dairies I eat is goat cheese and feta. I think it's really mild on the digestive system. Do you do goat cheese? Do any of you guys do goat cheese? No. So, it's all up to you and your gut, but so people really love cheese. I mean, cheese, like a charcuterie board, I love that. Like, I will do that and I will enjoy that, but I will not do it every day. But if I'm going out to like a charcuterie board restaurant, you better believe it, I'm doing it. But I wouldn't eat dairy, let's pick a number. I wouldn't eat dairy more than, I try not to eat dairy like at all, except for specific experiences like that. It's just really mild dairy consumption. Okay, so we're gonna get back into spices now. I just want to double check the time. Okay, yeah, we're cruising quick. I don't think I'll finish today, but I'm glad we didn't meditate. Everybody doing okay? Do we need to do a little movement? Yeah. So coriander. Now, coriander is the top of your cilantro plant, if you weren't aware of that. It's going to strengthen the digestive fire without aggravating pitta, which is great. So this one is tridoshic. That's why we drink the CCF, the cumin, coriander, and fennel tea, because it's tridoshic. And I think we'll have everybody do that for homework this week, is to make the CCF and the churnas. Supports proper function of the kidneys and urinary tract, cools and soothes the GI tract, and eliminates excess heat, promoting menopausal comfort. It's one of the best herbs for supporting digestion without aggravating pitta dosha. It enkindles the digestive fire while simultaneously cooling and soothing the GI. It removes excess heat in the body, making it useful in cooling pitta-related imbalances associated with menopause. It supports proper function of the kidneys, healthy urination, and the seed combines well with cumin and fennel to make an excellent digestive tea. So I'm going to have all of you make that this week for homework. It is really good. You can change it up. It'd be so nice to make this blend. You could put it in like a little jar and have it say CCF on it. And you could vary between lemon ginger and then the next day CCF, but it's so good. So now we're going to move into cumin. Cumin is also very powerful and kindles the digestive fire, promotes healthy absorption and elimination of natural toxins from the GI tract, calms vata in the lower abdomen, and promotes a comfortable post-meal experience. Again, really good for the digestive without aggravating pitta. This is a tridoshic herb, and I don't have that on the presentation, but coriander and cumin are both tridoshic, balancing all doshas. In addition to providing flavor, cumin enkindles the digestive fire, promoting healthy absorption, and eliminates natural toxins in the GI tract. The seeds are often chewed after meals and are especially useful for calming excess vata. So, dill. Dill. Who likes dill? I like dill. Dill is refreshing and rejuvenating. It's an herb well loved for its ability to increase enthusiasm. Dill's aromatic quality gives it a clearing and opening nature. As a diaphoretic, it dilates blood vessels, pushing heat to the skin. Dill is a powerful diuretic that disperses fluids and relieves swelling, and it is a useful spring tonic for anabolic kapha individuals. So dill is a great herb for spring. So see if you can go get some dill this week. Get some basil and dill and see if you can cook with it. I'm actually going to add here that we go get spring herbs to cook with this coming week. So dill's aromatic, pungent, and bitter qualities are going to pair excellently well with heavy foods, including rich soups, potatoes, cream, butter, and egg. That's why you see it with hollandaise, like on top of eggs Benedict. Dill has a hint of sweetness that has made popular in French desserts. So you're going to see it used in French cuisine, which they have a lot of heavy creams and whatnot, sauces. And these tips are more astringent and rough, while the stalk is going to be more sour. So I like to use the tips. They're nice and like, they have this kind of like sweetness to it. So this one's going to be Kapha Vata pacifying and Pitta aggravating. Fennel. Fennel is one of my favorite. Again, this is one of the 3 tridoshic spices: cumin, coriander, fennel. This is great for gas and bloating. Whenever I'm around somebody who's gassy and bloaty, I'm like, you need to go eat like a tablespoon of fennel seeds. And it's going to support a comfortable post-meal experience. I don't feel like reading all this because you can see how good it is when you just look at the screen. Fennel is an excellent herb for supporting a healthy, comfortable digestive experience. It's especially useful in strengthening the digestive fire without aggravating pitta. The roasted seeds are commonly served after post-meal in Indian restaurants, and they're covered in a bunch of sugar, which I don't know if that really makes it healthy or not, but it's going to freshen the breath, strengthen the digestion. Again, combines well with cumin and coriander for a great digestive tea. Supports healthy lactation in nursing mothers, and also used to promote menstrual comfort. So good for the nervous system. Fennel calms the mind and increases clarity of consciousness. So if you need more consciousness, this is a good one. Garlic. People may naturally crave garlic in autumn, so in that fall time, for relaxation and transition to a more inward focused winter hibernation. Garlic is used, cooked garlic. Now, garlic's really interesting because in Ayurveda, we don't use it as much as you would in a normal Mediterranean or American or any other cuisine. Everybody's using garlic. The first thing you put in the pan, what is it? Garlic and onion. It's like the way you start things off normally. Now in Ayurveda, they're not going to do that unless you have something that you need to be treated for. So they're going to use it more medicinally. Like here they say cooked garlic is a useful sleep aid in garlic milk. That sounds terrible, drinking garlic milk, but you can see why this sentence is derived from the traditional Ayurvedic text, where they're going to actually recommend dairy as a medical antidote. It is also an aphrodisiac and awakens desire. So that is why they don't use garlic so much in an everyday diet, because it's going to awaken desire. It's going to get you smelly. It's going to get you revved up. It's going to get you maybe, wanting sex or something like that. So it's heats you up. It kind of revs people up. And so they don't want you to eat garlic when you're sitting in ashrams all day meditating back in India and you're trying to attain this kind of Vedic sage monk life. Raw garlic is pungent, cleansing, and has a laxative action and may cause gas in some individuals. Now, here's the different ways you should use garlic in Ayurveda. For cleansing properties, raw garlic is more potent than cooked, especially those green shoots, which we don't even get that very often, but those green shoots in the center of the garlic clove, that's really good for cleansing. In Western medicine, garlic is used to prevent high blood pressure, perhaps because it is a blood thinner and stimulant, dilates blood vessels, increases sweat, and increases urine. These circulatory properties may also underlie garlic's secret in preventing heart disease, atherosclerosis, and high cholesterol. So garlic is a warming stimulant used as an aphrodisiac. However, it causes bad breath and smelly sweat due to a compound in it called allyl-methyl sulfide. Cooking garlic with milk reduces bad breath and offensive sweat. So they're pairing the dairy with the garlic to reduce the stink. Mushrooms and basil may also reduce the odor. So you can cook with those two things too. If you're worried about stinky garlic armpit, you can add these things in there. Cream is always going to kind of reduce the pungency and the potency of things. I would just recommend doing a plant-based version of that, however you'd want to do that. The laxative and circulatory qualities of garlic are useful in cleansing regimens. It's also an expectorant. Its antifungal and antibiotic properties have been used to speed recovery from strep throat. Garlic mixed with honey is used for rheumatism. Garlic is considered to stimulate the warm body and increase, again, your desires. I like to make something called a flu balm when I'm sick, and I take, it's really disgusting. It's really chunky, and it's, again, one of those shots that I like to make. It's garlic, ginger, turmeric, honey, pepper, apple cider vinegar, and half a squeeze of lemon juice. And it's like this chunky, crazy tasting shot, and it just always works. It's very powerful. It kills everything. It's called the flu balm. You can ask me about it if you ever want the recipe. Ginger. Now, ginger dried is different than ginger raw. Ginger dried is going to be more heating in nature. You can see here at the bottom, I have vata kapha, pacifying, pitta, aggravating. Dried ginger is got more of a heat to it. If you add this to your curry, you're going to get more of like it's like kind of like a rustic gingery taste. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a rustic, subtle, but deeper. And then with the raw ginger, it's like more of like a zing. You bite into it, and it's more like, it's more spicy, but they have like it's a rustic spice and then like a fresh spice. So it's going to promote digestion, and ginger is the best for digestion. Supports proper function of the lungs, healthy, comfortable breathing, comfortable post-meal experience. Great for being on your menses, healthy joints, any sort of motion intensive travel like seasickness or, car sickness. Ginger's going to be good. I always carry a ginger root in my purse. Like everywhere I go, I bring it to the party or wherever I am, I've got ginger root. I bring it on the airplane, as it really is great to really soothe yourself, especially if you're traveling, and let's say you fly from New York City to California. And have you ever experienced not pooping for 3 days when you travel? Your digestive system gets all messed up because you go up into the air, which vata is air. And so you're all of a sudden you got this huge dose of vata dosha and movement. And then all of a sudden your digestive system's all messed up because it got all this like vata dosha injection going on. So it's the universal medicine for its broad range of health promoting benefits. It's one of the 3 pungent herbs in the traditional formula, Trikatu, which is a kapha digest. Ginger warms the body and reduces kapha and vata. So it's going to aggravate pitta dosha if you add too much of it. I'm not going to read all this because I want to get through everything today, but here I say at the bottom, really good for motion intensive travel. So bring some ginger root with you everywhere. Now, fresh ginger is more heating in nature. It's not as heating as the dry, but it's got that zing to it. Soothes the sore throat, congestion, respiratory system, brings warmth into the body. It's an antibacterial, and this one is actually tridoshic. So that's nice to remember that the raw ginger is tridoshic, but the dry ginger is pitta aggravating. Great antispasmodic for like cramps with your uterus, anything spazzing, any headache, anything that's any antispasmodic problem going on, ginger is going to be great. Hing, this one, did anyone actually buy this? Did you buy this one? Yeah, you bought it? Awesome. Do you ever use it? Yeah? I used it last night. I made some red lentil dal and just use a little bit because it's so potent. You don't want to overdo it or else you're going to ruin your dish. Yes, when you do buy this one, everybody, be careful. And don't eat it in raw food because it's going to be really going to stink up your whole entire house. And you want to eat this with cooked food. So hing promotes healthy digestion. And in this one is like another one of the, I love how all these spices and herbs are so great for the digestion. It's like, why are we not putting these in our food when we have such a problem in this country of digesting? And like we have, you know, I don't want to go down that road, but we have a mental health crisis going on. Obviously, you've heard about what happened in the news, and the gut and the mind are very connected. And so it's like the mental health crisis is also a gut problem. I think that's also what's really going on, that people are consuming terrible foods and their mind is being affected from it and so much more. But asafoetida is really good for the gut, especially with gas and bloating. And anytime you've eaten too much and you have like a food baby and you want to break down that food baby in your belly, or, you know, excess fecal matter, you need, it's really going to help you with all the things digestive. Unless I would say unless you have diarrhea, it's not probably the one you would want to take for diarrhea because it does have heat in it. Vata soothing combination of herbs supports the entire digestive process and is especially useful for those with Vata prominent constitutions. Vata is cold, light, and dry qualities that excess can inhibit proper digestive and create discomfort. Hing contains herbs that are heating, grounded, and oily. So it's really going to soothe whatever's going on digestively for you. Mint is another herb that I would recommend to start using more in spring. Right now I have basil, dill, and mint, and I brought up a lot more of the herbs in the spring herb workshop, in the spring workshop I did last week. But mint, you're going to see if you have it growing around, it's going to start coming up now, unless you're in somewhere where it's still really cold, and that's not possible quite yet, but it will come up soon. I love mint. Just smelling it like refreshes me and kind of brings me into an awareness that I wasn't in before. Mint clears all forms of stagnation in the blood, in the stomach, blood, gallbladder, lymph, lungs, and even emotions. It is used to clear mucus from the respiratory tract and opens the sinuses. It soothes sore throats and reduces eye redness. It can alleviate early stages of fever and also bring rashes to a head quicker for healing. So peppermint is so powerful for headaches. I'm sure hopefully you all know that. It's stimulating and inspiring, and it's a traditional remedy for indigestion. Helps with gas. It also relaxes the muscle tissue, especially the smooth muscle tissue, making it a useful antispasmodic. It's used to calm all cases of colic, peristalsis in the intestines, vasospasms with headaches, bronchospasms, and uterine spasms. So it's another one. Anything that's spazzing, this is going to help. This one actually pacifies pitta kapha, and it's going to aggravate vata. Okay, I wanted to get to this. This is what is important that we go over this today. So the churnas that you all are going to make, those of you who are listening to the recording, those of you listening to your digestion, this is really important. A churna is something that I teach, and I've heard it from many people. It's about combining spices to have this medicinal, like ready to go medicinal blend. So a churna is a mixture of powdered herbs and or minerals. Triphala, which I've said to many of you who have irregular eliminations, this is great. It's a classic Ayurvedic formula used for thousands of years, and it's made of the powders of 3 fruits, amalaki, haritaki, and bibataki. So if you buy Triphala, which I highly recommend, if you want to get regular, you would take it at night. But it's basically a blending of herbs and spices to create a specific kind of medicine. How to make a churna. Choose the spices. You're going to choose the spices and then dry roast the seeds and the whole ones on a dry skillet on low for a few minutes. And this presentation, you're going to have to bring, what I'll do is I'll email you guys all the recipes for the churnas. So you would cook the whole spices until you get the aromatic out of it. You start smelling the aromas. Then once they cool down, you're going to obviously take that off the stove so they don't burn, and then grind them into a powder. Mix your other spices that are already powdered. Like, let's say if you have like desiccated turmeric, and then you would add that in at the end. And that's it. So you might want to be careful with what you use to desiccate these, because if you have a coffee grinder, you just want to be careful because these spices smell, and then all of a sudden your coffee grinder is going to smell like curry. And it's not going to work in a food processor, and it's not going to work in a blender. So you need a serious split grinder for this. You don't need to buy like an industrial grinder, but coffee grinders work really well, to be honest. You could also try a mortar and pestle, but it's going to be more of a task. So you would want to use a coffee grinder if you have one, or a desiccating spice grinder if you want to buy one of those. So how to store? Store in a glass or a steel jar in a cool, dry place. Most Indian homes have it on the dining table for ease of use. Do not store in the refrigerator. So you could sprinkle this on your food, like after it's cooked if you wanted, or you can add it into your saute. It's just kind of something that you have on hand that's really good. That's like, it's kind of like a condiment, that you have ready to go. I like to say that in Ayurveda, in India, they don't have ketchup and mustard. They have chutneys and churnas. They don't use the stuff that we do here. They have chutneys and churnas for condiments. So here's the Vata churna, and I'm going to email everybody all these churnas. But look at what all this does. The main things that this is going to do for the Vata dosha is reduce gas, bloating, and cramping, help with any constipation, which a lot of Vatas have, increase the digestive fire, help increase absorption, which Vatas have problems absorbing foods, burns toxins away, strengthens the nervous system. It's going to be there, usually is adaptogenic, reduces stress, and increases strength and rejuvenation. So for this blend, I have hing or asafoetida, fennel, turmeric, cumin, pepper, celery seed, ashwagandha, fenugreek, and salt. You don't have to do this, blend. You can look up Vata spices and make your own. But this is just like this could be a Vata churna that you use. You don't have to put the ashwagandha in if you don't want. You could take that separately with like something else if you want. The Kapha churna increases the digestive fire, boosts the metabolism, stimulates circulation, burns toxins, balances blood sugar, reduces heaviness, stimulates a dull and foggy mind. And you can see these spices are more pungent, right? Pepper, ginger, coriander, turmeric, salt, cumin, cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, and mustard seeds. So this one's going to be more heating in nature, right? And even with I haven't talked about the Pitta one. Oh yeah, I did have it in here, mint. So Pittacherna, this one's going to be more cooling in nature. You can see there's mint in it and fennel. Reduces heartburn and acidity, reduces heat and inflammation, balances the digestive fire, burns toxins, calms an overactive metabolism, reduces symptoms of low blood sugar, cleanses the liver and blood, cools heated emotions such as anger and irritation, and helps prevent hemorrhoids. So hemorrhoids are a cause of the Pitta dosha. Yeah, so those are not fun. So you can see this is more of a cooling herbal taming blend. I want to see how much I have here. I still have a lot. Oh boy. Okay. So we're going to have to hang tight on all that. I'd love to just end here. Everyone who's listening to the recording, we're going to end on mustard seeds. And I'm back. Okay, perfect. So I hope that was interesting for you. I know that was a lot of talking, but I think it's important that we go through all of those spices so you can get a better understanding. I think what would be powerful this week is, and I have it written down, is that we all do the CCFT, that we all make that CCFT. Make sure you use the whole spices with that, the cumin, the coriander, and the fennel seeds. Make the churna for your dosha, or hell, make the churna for each dosha. Have fun with it. And then go to the store or start cooking with the spring kapha foods, even if you're not kapha in your vata, you can still add a little more. You can do a pesto, do a dill, something with dill, start using those spring herbs that are coming up, these spring foods, peas. Did you watch Autumn, did you listen to the spring workshop? I talked about all the different foods for spring cooking. Peas are actually really heavily used in spring cooking. I didn't know that, but peas, and people make pea salads and whatnot, and peas and potatoes and things like that. And so I think that would be actually part of the homework, is that if you haven't listened to the spring workshop, definitely do it, because spring started on Saturday. And so it's really powerful for this specific time right now. Yeah, so I think that'll be plenty of homework. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Wow, right on time. Thank you for listening. And everyone who's listening outside of here, Mandy, we hope your surgery went well. Jenna, we hope you're doing okay at work. And David, we hope your vacation's awesome. And anyone else that I missed, I think there's somebody else. But I love you very much. And thanks for showing up today, Autumn. And I'll see you guys on Friday at 10 for our speaker, who is Chef Prem, who was a chef at the Self-Realization Center for 10 years, and then traveled around to music festivals on a bus chefing. And he is just an extremely powerful medium. I'm super, super excited to have that talk. So I'll see you guys on Friday at 10. Love you. Ciao.